Hello, this is Gabby with Endress Analytics, and this week I am doing a tutorial on the Adobe Report Builder. This is a plugin that plugs into Excel, which is why we're looking at an Excel spreadsheet right now. And first of all, your organization has to have the licenses for Report Builder. I believe there's a limited amount of licenses each company has that comes with your Adobe Reports and Analytics. And you have to talk to whoever your administrator is, your super administrator, like the main administrator in your company, in terms of figuring out how many licenses you have, can you get access to it, etc. So assuming that you have access, etc., and then your administrator can help you download and install the plugin once you have the access and everything else. So I'm not going to go through that part, but once you have the plugin, how do you use it? And you can see here I actually have a report that I actually built from Report Builder. I've added some customized look to it. It doesn't come from Adobe this pretty, and you'll notice I purposely chose green because I still miss the Omniture green from the old days. But be that as it may, let me go ahead and go in here, and you go under add-ins. You're going to have an add-ins tab up here, and you can see here this is the Report Builder add-in, and you have a number of options. You have a create option, which allows you to create a new data set that you can pull into either the existing spreadsheet or another spreadsheet. You have manage, so you can manage all of the data sets that you have pulled in. You can refresh your data sets. You can do some formatting here. That sets some conditional formatting. That's in addition to what you can do with Excel. This may, sometimes be recommended to do it this way, just because if you manipulate the data too much from Report Builder, you can potentially break the data set, and it won't allow you to refresh it and things. So there's some tricky things with it. If you can't like move content around and that kind of thing. You have to kind of leave it where it is. And this is not conditional formatting. This is just some straight up formatting that I put in here. You can schedule your reports. So once you've got your data looking the way you want, you can schedule them, and Adobe Report Builder connects back to Reports and Analytics, and will schedule this spreadsheet to be sent to yourself or to any of your colleagues, anyone within your organization that has access to this data. Alright, and then you also have a library where you can share your spreadsheets within your organization, and then you have some options in here as well. So let's go ahead and just kind of go through these. First of all is create, and I probably should have. Let me close that real quick. Let's go ahead and make sure that we're selected. I always am paranoid, and I always make sure I'm selected at the right cell that I want to be in to pull in additional data. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and go create, and you get this pop-up menu with the wizard and everything. And here are a lot of different types of data sets that you can pull in. Right now you can see I've got the referring domain being pulled in over here, and see that's the most recent one that was checked off. And I could pull in just about anything else. So let me see here about, why don't I pull in a mobile report and do device type. Then you can take a look at different types of date ranges. Or you can have a saved date template, which I have not created one, so I'm not going to go ahead and use that right now. But I can go ahead and I can say I want the last quarter of data for the mobile. And then you can either do aggregated, or you can do granular by day, hour, week, month, year, etc. I'm just going to go ahead and just do aggregated just to make it simpler today. If you have segments and you want to apply a segment, you can actually apply segments from here, and you can see all of the different segments that I have available to me. I don't have a ton of data in my report suite, so I'm not going to add any segments because it might end up with zero data. And then also, if you use publishing lists, you have the option to do your publishing list override over here. So let's say that, okay, these are all the configurations I want to do, so let me go ahead and click next. All right, and now I have some options here in terms of how I want to build the report, and you can get a preview here. You can see the date range, device types, etc. Right now, but I don't have any metrics. So what kind of metrics am I looking for? Let's say, for example, I would like to know how many bounces I'm getting from my device types. I could also look at, let's see if there's anything else that makes sense. I'd love to show orders and revenue and things, but I don't have an e-commerce site, so that does not make any sense. Yeah, there's a lot of, you can see there's, you know, and I actually don't have this coded yet, etc. So I apologize. I'm a little bit limited in terms of the types of data I can show. Okay, so that's the metrics, and then there's dimensions that you can do for breakdowns if you like. So you can add any one of these as a breakdown dimension, but I am, again, just going to go ahead and just keep things simple. Over here you have an option of either doing a pivot layout, which is the layout, standard layout you have here, or you can do a custom layout. And you know, if people want me to go through this, I can always do another tutorial for that later. So just let me know in the comments below if you'd like to see that. Again, I just want to keep this fairly straightforward and simple at the moment. Okay, so here you can say select cell, so you can make sure that you've got the right cell selected. I've got F1 here, and that's correct. That's what I want. And then here, right now, it's going to do the top 1 through 10. And here you click filter, and you can actually change this. And you can actually change this to pull in a lot of data. If you know you have 200,000 rows of data, you could potentially pull all that in here. Although, to be perfectly honest, I think Data Warehouse is probably a better option than Report Builder, in my opinion, because you can let it kind of run in the background and not sitting on your desktop taking up bandwidth on your computer. However, let's say I want to see the top 50. So you can make changes in terms of how many that you're seeing in here. And then you can also go by most popular, specific, save filters, etc. And then you can also, you know, save a search expression. So I can just click add, and I can do includes all, contains items, etc. So you can do a very customizable filter in terms of what you want to search for as well. But again, like I said, my site does not have a ton of data, so I'm probably going to end up with like 0 results. So I'm not going to add a search expression here, although obviously you can. But I can just go ahead and click OK, and I have the top 1 through 10. You can format the date range if you like. You can also, like, if you want to add, remove metrics here, if you had more than one metric, the X to remove it. And then you can show or hide these things from your, so if you wanted to have your date range and stuff. So, for example, I want the date range, but I don't necessarily want to show it in the report. So I'm going to go ahead and hide that. And let's say I'm pretty much happy with how I've got everything selected. I'll click Finish, and it's going to go ahead and query the report. And it's just gonna, you know, take time. It depends on how much data you're pulling in terms of how long it's going to take. Now I'm gonna go ahead and expand this out a little bit. So here you can see the device type, other, tablet, mobile phone. Other is desktop. And unfortunately, while you could type in and change this, it would potentially break the report if you wanted to refresh it. However, you can still go ahead if you want to, and just, like, if you just want to do what I've done here is just add some formatting just to make it look pretty. And I almost always, I don't always keep the filters. Turn the filters off. I mean, obviously, if you have a really long set of data, the filters can come in handy, but generally I don't leave those in. And then here you can see I did not hide the dates. The date range here, where I did hide them here, etc. So anyway, that is, you know, at the very basic level, how you work with the report builder, at least in terms of creating things. Let's just go ahead real quick and look at Manage. So if you look at Manage, you can see here, here's the report suite we're using. the sheet that we're using, the currently selected report that we have here. We have, you know, the report type, date range, granularity, current data, etc. So you can see everything here. And then let's say, for example, that I want to, so I can either refresh from here, or you can refresh from up here in the menu. And let's say I just want to go ahead and click refresh, click OK. And at the moment I actually have this as a protected sheet, so it's not allowing me to refresh that. And so that's one of the things you've got to be careful of, is if you protect the data in your sheet, all of a sudden you can run into problems and things. But you know, it's still actually, you know, I got the warning and everything, so you've got to be careful. But since I didn't break anything in here, even though I got the warning that it's a protected sheet, it still managed to update the data. So you can see here it's now 424 instead of 422, and the data has shifted, you know, based on the selections I made in that sheet, in that data set. Okay, and then you can also, if you want to edit it, you can go ahead and just select whichever one you want to edit. You can see it highlights which data set you're going to go ahead and edit, and go ahead and click edit, and then you can go through and make your changes. Let me go ahead and cancel that, and I'm going to go ahead and edit this one, because one of the things is that I was not taking into account when I was setting this up was the fact that there really are no more than 3 device types. There may actually be like 5, because I think they also include things like gaming consoles and that kind of thing. So let's go ahead and change the filter. So let's just do the top 5. That way it can take into account and add any additional device types in the future, but it doesn't like look for 50 lines of code, and therefore it should refresh more quickly. So let's go ahead and do that, finish, and hopefully that should pop in a little bit more quickly. Perhaps not, because it's the same amount of data that's actually being retrieved, but there we go. Now, you know, one thing to keep in mind, of course, is that any formatting here can also get taken out of the report. So that's another thing to keep in mind, is that that may or may not happen as well. So there's a couple of quirks with this tool, but it can be very useful in terms of being able to pull in data directly into Excel and being able to refresh it, especially if you're having to pull this kind of data a lot into Excel, and then you're wanting to use Excel to create charts and graphs and things. So if I wanted to insert, let's say I wanted to do a line graph, and taking a look at like the top, and actually line graph is probably the wrong one. It's probably, there we go. That's probably a better one, is the bar graph, and taking a look at comparisons and things. And then as you update this data, refreshing it from here, it will refresh and update your chart as well at the same time, because the data is going to go ahead and get updated. So that's, I think, the most useful thing, is if you're constantly pulling stuff, you know, wanting to use things in Excel, and then you use your own charts and graphs in Excel, your own visualizations and things, using the report builder can make updating those charts and graphs a lot quicker and easier. So anyway, if anyone has any questions, leave a comment down below. If you are finding these tutorials helpful, please give them a thumbs up, and please share them with your colleagues and friends in the analytics community. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I would really greatly appreciate a subscription. Until next week, take care. Bye-bye.